I have to tell this story of being in New York a lot of years ago. And I used to work there a few times a year. And so I dropped off my bags at the hotel, and I wanted to walk up Madison Avenue to go buy a belt somewhere. I can't remember. But so I'm walking, and at a distance, I see this guy. He was wearing jeans and sort of a Indian Navajo kind of patterned jacket. And I looked at the lady, and he was, really handsome, really handsome. And I looked at the lady he was with, and I'm thinking to myself, gee, he is so drop dead handsome. She's not all that attractive. And they were talking and walking, and then they were coming towards me. And as I got to the middle of, I think it was like 63rd, I stopped dead in it just as we crossed one another. I stopped dead and just got, and the cab driver started to laugh because I stood in the middle of the street. It was Robert Redford.
Oh my God.
That's what I said. Jesus, Jenny, oh my God.
See, that's why he's famous, because he makes a woman do that.
And I mean, I tell you, I looked in the windshield of this cab driver who was laughing at me because, I mean, in those days, everybody sort of dressed in New York. And so I was dressed in New York style, with heels and, and a skinny skirt and, the shawl wrapped across, very, very cosmopolitan New York. So, I mean, here's this woman with all her little fancy getup, acting like a goddamn teenager in the middle of 63rd Street, so... But there's a perfect example of, it's not always two beautiful people, and it doesn't matter. I'll tell you this story of how one small yes led me to having an experience I could have never even dreamed of. So,
I can't wait.
When I was chairman of the Design Industry Foundation for AIDS, I had a board member who held a position at the Chicago Museum of Natural History. And Jim called me one day and said, I have to do a luncheon, and I'm putting together a group of people. I'd really like you to come. I don't think you're going to know anybody there. Would you please come? And I thought to myself, oh, God, I'm not going to know anybody. And then I said, well, okay, yes, I will. Well, unbeknownst to me, I walk in this private dining room at the museum, and I am introduced to someone by the name of Viscount David Lindley. Well, I had been such a royal watcher that I knew right away this was the Princess Margaret's son and the nephew of the Queen of England.
Oh my goodness.
And he was visiting the museum. David had been creating these extraordinary pieces of furniture, mainly known for its inlay work. And so he was seated next to me, and I mean, he was good. I think he's probably 10, 12 years younger than I am. At the time, he was single, and we started chatting, and apparently he had a contract with Wedgwood to do dinnerware design, and when he found out that I was doing it, except on a much larger scale because I was doing it for the mass merchandisers, he became, our conversation got very animated and very involved. And, he spoke of his mother, and it was just a really nice
We were
nice.
connecting on
We were
similar
connecting.
levels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so before we left, he said, please, if you're ever in London, please look me up. I want you to come to my studio. Well, unbeknownst to me, every mother, grandmother, and whatever in the world was leaving messages for him at the hotel trying to get their daughters or granddaughters to meet him in the hopes of walking down the aisle.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, lo and behold, about 6 months later, I did happen to be in London. I was on my way back from seeing a client in Bilbao, Spain, and I was going to stay in London a couple of days. And I called David, and he was very excited. Oh, please come to the studio. Gave me the address. It was on King's Road. And I arrived,
Amazing.
and he was, tell me, and he was so gracious. And, I remember he showed me a cabinet he had just completed for Elton John. And they had very narrow drawers. And as you opened the drawer, it was set up for every one of his eyeglasses. And then the outside was all beautiful inlay. And he said, well, come downstairs to the office and we'll have tea. So, go down these stairs, and here's this, kind of a small living room setup. And then beyond that was clearly a studio and like a kitchen. And somebody made tea and brought tea, and we started chatting. And he said, I very much want to be doing what you do. And I really, 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 would like your help. He said, I don't have the finances to do it or the contacts. And I'm hoping, and at that point, I burst out into laughter. And the laughter was so heavy and so infectious that he started laughing. And then finally, he said, I finally stopped laughing. And he said, what's so funny? I said, well, David, firstly, I am neither old enough nor rich enough to be your patron. I said, but beyond that, I am picturing my father turning over in his grave to think that the nephew of the Queen of England is hitting his daughter up for money. When, as a kid, I used to ask my dad for money, and he would say to me, what do you think I am, the Bank of England?
Oh, come on.
Honest to God. And we laughed so hard over this. And I sometimes wonder if my Midwestern, in-your-face kind of personality gets to even the highest echelon of society. But he was such a good sport. And so as I was leaving, he said, oh, you can't leave unless I give you a gift. I have to give you a gift. And so he ran through and he came out with this wonderful table easel, small easel, to put a painting on, not to use for actually creating artwork, but to display it, that had been made in the studio. And it was such a wonderful, just a great experience. For someone like, how the hell did this ever happen? So I went to the market. Now, this was well before the days of Instacart gals and all these other things. So you had to actually go to the store. And I went to the market. It was Treasure Island on the near north side. And as I started going through, I started in the produce department. And I picked up a baking potato. And I put it in the cart, and I started walking through and looking in the meat department. And suddenly I looked at that, not suddenly, I looked down at that baked potato in that little section, by the handle. And I thought, oh my God, one baking potato? One? Oh, never mind. So I kept walking through the store. And I swear to you, I believe that every person passing me by was looking in the cart and thinking, oh, look at that poor thing. She only has one potato in her cart.
Oh, no, Lois.
And then I realized I can't do this. And so as I was getting to checkout, I went back and got
Another potato.
another potato and put that one in the cart so that the checkout person wouldn't think I was a pathetic creature who was alone and who didn't have someone to have a second baked potato with. Well, I think my day of coming into my own is when I could walk into the store and get one baking potato and not give a fiddler's hooray. It'd be hard for me to talk about going to the gym because I was a gym rat. And I did do some serious weight training. And so I did meet a couple that, were very serious. She had competed. They actually owned their own gym in Florida, even though, we lived in New York, in Chicago. And so, we would grab a bite to eat after the workout. And so they said, we're going down to our Florida place. We'd love to have you come. All you need to do is, pack a bag. We have our own plane. And well, Lois was not about
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I was not about to turn down going on a private plane. So,
No.
I eagerly accepted, and they had this beautiful house and the beautiful guest room and bath, and everything was set up beautifully. And we got there in time to go out to dinner and meet. I was meeting their friends, and there was this table of people, most of them maybe just a few years older than me, but basically in the same age range. And it was a very unusual feeling I had that night. I was sitting at the end, and people just kept staring at me. And I thought, well, I'm sitting at the end. Are they going to stick me with the check? What? Why do they keep looking over at me? And I thought, this is really very strange, and I don't know. There was something not right about this.
Sure.
And, my intuition kicked in, blah, blah, blah. We left. We got home. Barry went to bed. And Mary and I sat in the living room. And I remember I was on the sofa. She was on the floor. And I said,
What?
Your friends are really very lovely, but why were they? They just kept looking over and sort of looking. They were like looking me over. It was very
Like scrutinizing you.
very much so, to the point where I thought, did a zit just pop out? I wasn't dressed.
Also, you are stunning at this point, though, too. Nothing's more attractive than someone who's in wonderful shape. But so, there's something that could be that, but it sounds like it's overwhelmingly something else.
It was overwhelmingly something else, and she looked,
Yes.
and she had this Cheshire grin on her face, and she said to me, well, you see, generally when we bring a single woman, it's because I've handpicked them for my husband for our threesome.
Shut the fuck up right now. So hold on. So not only is that probably why they brought you, the entire friend group knew this too?
Well, apparently, these two made no secret of their sex life. And for all I know, that whole group could be doing it. And I sat there and I thought, oh my God, I am hostage in their home. And I looked at her and I said, well, I am not willing to pay that price for a private flight. I just, I don't know what to say, but I am not your gal. Not at all.
Right.
And I don't know why you would have even thought that. And she said, oh, because Barry likes your style. I said, well, that's just great. But I said, I'm now very uncomfortable and I have to leave. And she said, well, you don't really. And I said, yeah. I said, I'll tell you what, it's too late for any planes out of here. So let me go to my room. And I said, and I don't expect to be disturbed. I kept thinking, God, I hope there's a goddamn lock on that door, or I'm going to be sleeping in the bathtub with the bathroom lock on. But, and I said, I'll just take a flight home, and it's not an issue. She said, but you really don't have to do that. I said, I thank you, but for me, I do need to do that. And so I got the first flight out of there and arranged for a car to pick me up before the house was awake, and I was out of there before they even got up. So I'm not saying, but I have to tell you, the interesting thing is when I told a few people about it. Do you know that a couple of the gals said they had the same experience? That they, that a couple of couples wanted them to be part of their, menage a trois. And so, I thought this was just, anyway, apparently it happened to other people I know. And listen, I'm living in Chicago in the middle of the Midwest. It's not as though I'm, in some
hippy dippy town.
Well, at any rate, I believe me, I'm not saying this is going to happen to you. I just think that sometimes not all people you think are going to be friends have the same motive you do. Thanks for watching, everyone. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and the notify bell. And please share it with your friends. And if you feel like commenting, use that box, will you?